Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula has promised to regulate and transform the taxi industry. Mbalula, alongside Gauteng's Transport and Health MECs, are currently in Ivory Park taxi rank, where they're leading a screening program for taxi drivers as well as queue marshals. Our reporter Malungelo Booi is there and joins us live. Good afternoon to you, Malungelo. The Minister of Transport really has been doing his rounds along with the MEC for Transport in Gauteng and the Minister of Health as well, or rather MEC for Health in Gauteng. What is it that they were talking about today? We did hear the Minister talking about transforming the taxi industry.
That's right. In fact, perhaps let's start here. What authorities are trying to do, and this is something that the President has spoken about, was saying that there's a need for the country to essentially accelerate the testing and screening of COVID-19, and that's why we're currently seeing of health officials, in fact, here in Ivory Park. This place would actually be buzzing with taxis and commuters, but today, essentially, it's been turned into that screening facility just for a day, and authorities already saying that they've screened over 400 people. Those people include taxi drivers, queue marshals, that work in this taxi rank, and of course, as you rightfully said, Fikile Mbalula interacting with some of those that are actually being screened and tested for COVID-19, but also interacting with taxi bosses in this province about an array of, talking to them about an array of issues. But one of the things that has come out from Fikile Mbalula is that government is working on providing support for taxi operators during this time of COVID-19. I'll bring in Theo Malele. He's from the National Taxi Alliance. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it so much. I just want to get your thoughts on the importance of government coming to taxi rank and screening taxi operators and drivers.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. But first and foremost, Malungelo, as you probably understand me, I do not like to be called a taxi boss. I'm not a taxi boss. I'm a business person in my own right. So a taxi boss is a no-no. I take an exception to that. Right. Responding to your question directly, the government has been informed by the heat map that this area where we are at, it's one of the areas where we have more cases of positive people. So it is not only this place. So we're piloting by starting here. We'll do Alexandra, we'll do Randburg, and we'll do certain areas in Ekurhuleni. I think we'll finally even go to Pretoria and also go to certain parts of Soweto where there is an upward spiral of the pandemic. We, as an industry, we welcome this exercise by government, although we stepped in a little late because maybe the resources were not, forthcoming and maybe not even sufficient for that matter. But now that government, the minister that is, and the MECs have actually shown an appetite to support this majority public transport mover in ensuring that we curb the curve of COVID-19, we really do welcome that.
I mean, one of the things the minister spoke about, Mr. Malelo, was that they're looking into supporting the industry, especially during this time of COVID-19. I suppose that's something that you will welcome as the taxi industry.
Yeah, look, COVID-19 presents an opportunity for innovation.
Sure.
And as an industry, we would gladly, accept and approve of every and any form of support from government, and more especially monetary support, that is. Because currently what we are doing, we actually are working at a loss and assisting government to move its citizenry from one point to the next point. So it then becomes important for government to acknowledge that kind of support from the taxi industry and ensure that the industry gets, the necessary monetary support, as it actually it's losing money. And the taxi industry also is an important player in the economy of the country, let alone creating employment. But the revenue that we also pump into the fiscus in variables, it's also important.
It's about 20 billion rand.
It's about 20 billion, yep. It's quite substantial. So, but we can increase that if the industry were to be properly transformed. Not that we are not willing, for the transformation aspect to kick in. Now, we are very much prepared for that to happen. To also come up. Look, just recently, I think.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, it's because there hasn't been a political will, which is why it has taken this long. But I think having spoken on a repeated basis, with the politicians, had robust debates, had media debates on issues, it became apparent. Even to the ruling party, we've spoken to them at their head office and indicated to them that, the problem of ministers, once deployed in government, they actually change, they behave like demigods. And we said we were not going to lay back and, and relax whilst this is actually encroaching in the future of our kids, And look, the constitution of the country does not allow for not only segregation, but the taxi industry has been treated as a stepchild of the public transport space. And yet it moves the majority of people. And also that the historically transport houses that have been supported by apartheid government were still benefiting even in a democratic dispensation. So we were not going to sit back and let that go unabated. We were very much willing to take this to the latter. We were willing to take this up to the Constitutional Court and test if it's merit. So we were very much prepared.
All right, I appreciate your time. As you rightfully said, you're not a taxi boss. You're a businessman. He's the spokesperson for the National Taxi Alliance. That's Theo Malele there for you, Tami. Essentially saying that they do welcome the support that government is talking about and that it's something that they've been waiting for a while, and that during this COVID-19 period, they have lost a lot of money. And as he rightfully pointed out, the taxi industry makes about 20 billion rand a year. And this is the industry, Tami, that transport about 15 million people every day in this country. So it contributes, a lot of people rely on this sector to get to work, and a lot of people also rely on this sector, for employment opportunities. Tami?
And a very timely move as well, Malungelo, as we start preparing for a reduction in the lockdown levels, as so many more people are going to be traveling, so many more people are going to be using public transport. So where to from here? Today is just the launching of the screening and the testing. Are we then going to be expecting to see these screening and testing centres, so to speak, not only in Gauteng but nationwide?
That's right. In fact, that's the plan really from authorities, that they make sure that this screening, what we're currently seeing here, what's being piloted and being launched here in Ivory Park, is something that will be replicated in other parts of the country. It is important, Tami, if government is serious about making sure that they test as many people as possible. These are the spaces also, Tami, that they have to come into. In fact, one of the things the minister was saying was that people that will be, in fact, even boarding those taxis, the taxis will actually now be screened for COVID-19, and no one will board a taxi without a mask, because COVID-19 is a reality. And that's what the minister is saying that people have all actually died. In South Africa, we know already there's about 200 186 people that have died from this virus. And of course, the numbers of those who test positive for coronavirus also continue to rise. They now stand at just over 16,000. But I also think, Tammy, when we're talking about the infections going up, it's also important for us to say, even though the infections are going up, out of that over 16,000 people that have been infected by the COVID-19 in this country, about 7,000 of those people have recovered.
This testing, the screening rather, is on a voluntary basis. How has the general reception been from the commuters and people around Ivory Park? Have they been quite keen to voluntarily go to the screening and get themselves screened?
That's right, Tammy. In fact, we are talking to some few people who, shortly after they're tested, asking them whether how important is this for them, and if government would have not actually come here, would they be able to actually screen? Some of them are actually saying that, considering the fact that if you go and screen privately, they would have not been able to pay for themselves. And the fact that they are doing it voluntarily here, Tammy, it shows that people really wanted this opportunity. I mean, screening started at around, some people are already being screened and tested at around 10 o'clock, and there's still queues of people waiting to be tested for COVID-19. It shows that the people here understand the importance of being tested for COVID-19. But I also want to say, one of the things that is apparent when you move around this taxi rank, almost everyone that I've seen, Tammy, has got a mask on, which is something that is very important.
Certainly, it looks like the message is filtering through to where it is intended. Thank you very much for that, Malu.